Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And right now, we're going to talk about spiritual slaves and the ship energy, the SHIP energy. Because it's one thing that y'all need to know in the third dimension. Nothing formulates in the third dimension without taking place in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension first. And in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, it's more of its original state. So this whole little slave energy signature that y'all dealing with down here is way beyond whatever y'all thinking about. You see what I'm saying? Now, here's where we get the slave mentality, that whole mental body construct that spirits like to follow. And here's where we get this ship concept from. Now, you need to know that we live in a body of water. Everything is rainbow waters that we are in. And depending on what frequency vibration your plane of existence is on, that's how you're going to perceive the reality of the current flow. But don't think for 1 second that a fish is perceiving their life the same way you think that they're perceiving their life. The same way higher entities over you ain't gonna think that you're perceiving your life the way that they think you're perceiving your life. So you need to take this into consideration, that we're dealing with levels of frequency vibrations, aka current flows. Even when you get into the court system or you get in trouble, they're gonna let you know that you're in a body of water, because your spirit is always going to tell you what's going on. You can't even use another word, because there's no other realm of reality or construct to understand what you're talking about except for the realm of reality that you are in. So the words you come up with is always going to correlate to something. For an example, right? Let's talk about spiritual slaves. Now, a lot of y'all, your space is your spirit. So your spirit is no thing, no shape and form. So you travel through the astral realm based upon what you resonate with and natural selection. So for the most part, a lot of y'all resonated with certain energies, aka certain spirits that had created shapes and forms to be aware of themselves through the astral travel, for space to be aware of itself, that spirit to be aware of itself, and whatever ideas or concepts or imaginations it was emitting. If you resonated with that energy signature, you will follow that spirit and follow those lights, aka those shapes and forms that spirit has created for itself, just for being in a space before you was in that space. You see what I'm saying? Now, here's what you need to understand. It's working in frequency vibrations. So when you talk about the concepts of you being a spiritual slave, all y'all to be here right now, you was brought here based upon a slave ship. Now this spiritual slave, right, you have got here based upon a relationship, a business ship, a partnership. You know what I'm saying? You got all kind of ships. Hold on. You championship, a dictatorship, a horsemanship, whatever ship you was on as a fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional in that realm, and you being a spirit, your space, you going based upon what you resonate with, you get up on a ship. Now, a ship is like I tell y'all every day, to create your own spaceship, create your own warship. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling y'all throughout all my videos how to create new material for your spaceship to be efficient enough to travel through the astral realm and not get deflected by people you're going to war with, or just to travel itself. And you have your esoteric license, and you got your esoteric lawyer, Archangel Uriel, and you ain't got to be fucking around with the Galactic Federation of Light and all the entities that be involved with them. You see what I'm saying? When you get fucked up with the law. I be trying to tell y'all this, but I'm trying to get y'all to understand this on a simpler level. A lot of y'all came here spiritually on a ship. Now, these certain ships, championship, dictatorship, partnership, sponsorship, all these ships was created by a spirit before you, right? And 9 times out of 10, a group of spirits that have created some form of theism, that have created some form of going into daughters of men, that have came to some type of agreement, that have took a council, that have took a divine council and government and all that shit in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension wise. And then they have created certain laws, and this is where you get the construct of the Galactic Federation of Light being nothing more but the government down here, how y'all perceive things. You see what I'm saying? So this is why the police carry policy. You know what I'm saying? And this is another thing you need to understand. When you're on a ship, you know that we're in water or on water and things of that nature, because a ship floats. Y'all think a ship is flying or submarine. Y'all know that's floating. But when y'all hear the concepts of ships, y'all think a ship or a spaceship is flying. You know, it's floating based upon the frequency, vibration, and the velocity it has to go in each sphere. But for the most part, when you're on a ship, the ship has to be on water, right? It has to be on water, right? So this is where you get the concept of see. So anytime you hear something like you're seeing something or you see, do not look at it like see how scientists is trying to teach you, because that's the lostness version of it. You're only able to see because you're in a realm of reality. A realm of reality is a sea. I keep trying to tell y'all we in a body of water. Each star is its own current flow. You're on a current flow right now, aka what they want to call a star. But for the most part, this is what you need to understand, right? When you came here on one of these slave ships as a spirit, whether it was a dictatorship, friendship, these are all shared experiences. That means you shared a ship with somebody, and the captains of that ship was part of the Galactic Federation of Light, aka the government in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. You see what I'm saying? So with these motherfucking ships, these relationships and things of that nature that y'all jumped on thinking it was a good thing based upon thinking it's gonna feel good or based upon your state of being, these ships have to ride over certain currents. So here's where you get prophet seas, current seas, pregnant seas. You see what I'm saying? All the motherfucker the sea energies that y'all be getting. Consistent sea. You know what I'm saying? These are seas. So you have a current sea. You know what I'm saying? So that current is a wave of water. So when you go into currency, you get to understand that realm of reality of that seas. Pregnant seas. That's a body of water. You know what I'm saying? Where things be pregnant, and it's the seas. It's the seas where things get pregnant at. So only a few spirits like to go over that. A lot of spirits that like to take feminine shapes and forms go over the pregnant seas. A lot of times, you see what I'm saying, and go over. It's like, see, all of these are locations in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. You see what I'm saying? Police work in the current flows of policies. So when you think about policy and in the 3rd dimension, right? That's someone trying to carry out a duty and obligation of a certain system or a law. So when you see a bunch of police or things or people that work for the government, what do? Enforce a law. And what law? Who's back and supporting that law? Whoever y'all voted for, whether it was the negative or the positive charge. When you talk about going to vote, giving these candidates your electric voltage. So you go vote and give them your vote, and whoever got the most votes on each side, right, they get electromagnetically charged to have more power, aka they win the election and shit like that. See, there's a lot of shit y'all don't be understanding, but from the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, this shit is actually real. You know what I'm saying? So when you talking about motherfucking water currents and flows and shit, this is what you need to understand. So any form of the private sea, you know what I'm saying? That's the seas of private. So think about what private mean, right? So say you need a little bit of privacy. You're gonna take your state of being and go to the beach where those seas is at, where a bunch of private waters, private rainbow waters, and those private rainbow waters is the private seas. So when you go over there and swim in that water, right, you get to have you're swimming in the current sea, you're swimming in the waters of private sea. So in the 3rd dimension, it plays out as you creating a circumstance or a scenario that creates some type of privacy or sheltering around a scenario you don't want to be expressed in the yang realm or expressed out openly. You see what I'm saying? Once you understand this shit, you will be able to understand shit beyond the 3rd dimension. Then the 3rd dimension won't even be able to fuck with you. Nothing will be able to fuck with you. You should always pay attention to the seas and the ships, because these are the two most highest frequency related swords that we can use here, because it's your spirit trying to give you a concept like, look, you need to build your ship and stop waiting on ships and get the fuck off that slave ship. You know what I'm saying? That's why all stories is correlated to either building a ship, a warship, the Nezzer to the whatever the fuck that shit called in the Bible and shit and the Matrix and shit. And then Moses had to build a ship and all and float over some certain seas and shit like that. And floods. There's always a flood and shit like that. People not understanding this is a wave of consciousness that's happening. You know what I'm saying? And we're getting to a stage where the being that you are in at the moment is getting ready to die. So it's going to be another flood. So this is why everybody's spirituality is giving them a sense of wanting to get out of here, because everybody's spirit is trying to let your physical vessel know that, hey, time almost up. This being that we in is almost about to die. So we need to learn how to get the fuck out of here, because if the being we in die, where the fuck we gonna go but follow this motherfucker? And if this motherfucker is a dumbass motherfucker, ain't no way we about to keep following this goddamn spirit. But a lot of y'all keep falling short. So you're gonna remain in a third dimension, aka you just remain in whatever vessel this overall spirit keep going into. You just keep being a follower. So you need to build your own ship. That's what y'all need to understand. Even when we get into the concepts of the all words that end with shin, the tions, s, the tions, all those. Every time you see those words, that's referring to an ocean. An ocean. You see what I'm saying? So think about it. Anytime you hear something like information, all these words that got shin at the end, communication, nation, that is always going to correlate to a large body of something. And when we talk about this realm of reality, what the fuck did I just tell you? We in a big body of goddamn rainbow waters. So when you hear anything that's talking about shin at the end of it, T-I-O-N-S, this is telling you that this is a big ocean of the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So you got many different currents, and then when you got a bunch of the same, when you got a whole big old current in one area, that's an ocean. You see what I'm saying? So don't get caught on somebody else's ship, because that might be led down a motherfucking river, or that submarine might lead y'all into a frequency vibration where that ship can't sustain going that low. So everybody on that ship get evaporated and tore up and killed and shit like that, because y'all don't be knowing where the fuck y'all traveling. And a lot of y'all motherfuckers be traveling into dumbass shit because of the captains of the motherfucking ships. And the captains of the ships is these Galactic Federation of Lights that be hiring lesser spirits and lesser bodies that kind of like to go along with shit in the realm of reality and use those motherfuckers as just vessels and soldiers and shit like that. So that's what you need to understand. So everything is going to be correlated to water in some way, shape, or form. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Whether you just got arrested, whether you're trying to start a business, you're gonna need partnerships, you're gonna need sponsorships, so you're gonna need ships and ships from other people, captains, and y'all come together and develop y'all warship and shit in order for y'all to even sustain through that astral travel, aka sustain that business. You know what I'm saying? So you can't hide from these words. Now, you could argue with me all day and be like, well, you just lost in something because this is what we logically trying to say or whatever like that. And I'm going to just flip it on you and just say, no, you're lost because you keep saying the same words that mean different things because of how lost y'all are. See, y'all don't understand when y'all be having like the same words for a whole bunch of different meanings. But in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, that word and that frequency of how that word played out, all that shit mean the same thing. It just plays out in different realms. It plays out into different frequency vibrations. So depending on how many letters y'all done added on to this part of the word and gave it that meaning, that y'all just brought it lower into a dimension. Y'all just brought that energy signature lower into a dimension. Then y'all might use the same word for a higher frequency vibration and y'all give it a whole nother meaning, but in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, it's playing out the same way, just in a lighter form. So anytime you hear a concept about light, don't look at light as particles and photons like scientists is trying to teach you. Look at light as in weight. So when you create a light body, the lighter body you create for yourself, you're able to float. So in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, creating a heavy body is adding a bunch of thoughts and emotions and feelings to an awareness that you may not even necessarily be attached to. But since you're lost into the illusion of thinking these responsibilities and thinking this, that, and the third, you tie weight. So now you heavy, your heart heavy. So fake ass that fake shit y'all be teaching ain't gonna be able to balance your heart with the feather, because the feather gonna be lighter than your heart, because you got all these emotional memories and shit like that from conscious lights, and your light body ain't even light no more. It's heavy as fuck, got a hard emitting color to it. It's emitting a lot of color. All the information in it is a bunch of bullshit and consciousness and shit like that. So you ain't got no light body in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. But if you was to release yourself, relax yourself, know how to let go, learn when something has served its purpose, learn how to not get truly attached to certain things, and learn how to lighten up and not take everything serious and live your life without overindulging into what's right or wrong or the morality that other people try to teach you about it, and come up with your own idea and concept about it. When you die and go to the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, that conscious body you create for yourself is light as fuck. It ain't holding on no heavy past and regrets and turmoil and leaving people behind and wanting to save this and wanting to save that and wanting to do right and not sin. It ain't carrying all that heavy ass baggage. So when you go in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, your ass light as hell. Then whatever, if your ass want to believe in that shit, that might be where you go. But when she weigh your shit will still be light, no matter where you go. You know what I'm saying? It'll still be light. You know, your ass still can fly in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. Your spaceship is light enough to float and rise. That's when you see light bodies here. Smoke is a light body. Fire is a light body here. It can't even get that heavy to sustain itself in this realm. You see what I'm saying? Water is the only one that can go through all realms. The earth, air, and the motherfucking fire. This is why you see fire dance and be fluid. This is why you see air dealing with in water, H2O and shit like that. This is why you see water take the shape and form of the platform and the shapes that's being formulated out of structure and practicality and structuring and comforting energy. That's that earth energy. Water go through all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Water go through your motherfucking cup. Y'all think the water, y'all think it's sweating. That's motherfucking the water going through the goddamn cup based upon the temperature. Y'all need to understand this goddamn shit. Because if it wasn't nothing in the cup, it would be nothing for it to contract and receive and do that fucking energy for something to seep through and become that light to the point that it could be light enough to ring itself around shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit is real shit in this motherfucker. So you need to understand anything in this goddamn world. Understand some goddamn water. Get around some goddamn water and then see how water participates with fire, air, and earth. Then that's going to tap you into how earth is accumulating. Then that's going to tap you into how air accumulating. Then that's going to tap you into how fire accumulating. Then you're going to realize that there's just a certain system of how things accumulating in general. Fucking frequency vibrations. Waves. Motherfucker. So build your goddamn ship and stop being spiritual slaves. Try jumping on motherfucking ships based upon your state of being on what you think is right because how lost you are in this third dimension. And see, a lot of times y'all jump on ships, these galactic beings and things of that nature and governments, even the elites here, they understand that shit. They ain't got to control y'all. They don't give a fuck about what y'all do. They ain't got to control y'all. All they got to do is see what the fuck is on y'all goddamn minds. AKA the shit that y'all into every day. The shit that y'all make popular every day. The shit that y'all love every day. The shit that y'all eat every day. And that's all the fuck the elites need to fucking know. All they got to do is create a motherfucking mental ship in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, and all y'all motherfucking spirits gonna ride that shit happy. Spiritual fucking slaves. You see what I'm saying? So new phones come out, new burgers come out, new food, new clothes come out, new shit like that, new all kind of concepts come out, and then y'all sit back and be like, oh, I'm about to get that shit. Y'all jumping on a motherfucking ship. Y'all jumping on a motherfucking ship. Y'all jumping on a goddamn paddy wagon. Y'all saying, here, cuff me. I'm willing to be cuffed because I like this jail that you finna take us to. You know what I'm saying? Then y'all ride that motherfucking ship, and then a lot of times those ships be weak as hell, so they lead y'all off cliffs. A lot of y'all drown. A lot of those submarines get holes in it, like the Titanic, so it becomes a flood. And AKA in the third dimension, either that trend or that wave have passed, or whatever business you got into have crashed, or whatever trend, whatever you have got into is no longer standing. AKA in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, that motherfucking ship wasn't shit. It couldn't sustain all y'all. Couldn't sustain two of y'all. See what I'm saying? Build your own fucking ship. And the people that you're relating to based upon resonation, let them ride your ship. And that's a real relationship. And if it's all captains on one ship, y'all ain't gonna float nowhere but to the goddamn promised land. Y'all are gonna be floating and going to jail in the esoteric realm, getting locked up by the Galactic Federation of Light because y'all jumped on a paddy wagon as spiritual slaves, moved to an esoteric country, aka a location, and then once you start to understand that these laws ain't something that you agree with, now you want to run away and escape and break the law, but then you already agreed to those terms and conditions, so you always end up in esoteric jail. You always end up in the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional jail. You always get ran. You always being judged. You always in the court. You ain't got no esoteric lawyer. You ain't even watching Archangel Uriel. Matter of fact, you look at my shit and think I don't know what I'm talking about. Yet you the one going to fucking court every goddamn day. Yet you the one being judged every goddamn day. Yet you the one think you can never do fucking right. You fucking crazy? I'ma tell you motherfuckers like this. Waking up ain't even shit. Stop trying to wake up all the goddamn time, because that's being more lost. Because waking up is just being more aware of your surroundings. But if you in a bullshit ass surroundings, that's some shit I don't even want to be truly aware of. I'm close my eyes on you motherfuckers. I don't even want to look at the shit y'all looking at. Because being unaware of that shit, I could be aware of some shit that I want to create for my shit. Then once the moment y'all want to come try to make me be aware of some shit, I'm going to play sleep. I'm not going to play woke on that shit. I'm not going to wake up on that shit. I'm not going to be consciously aware of that shit, because that shit weak. And that shit ain't going to do nothing but put some shit I don't even want on my spaceship. So now it's just taking up weight on my spaceship, making my spaceship heavy. I can't flow in other places because I gotta consider who might get offended or what concept and idea that's being agreed with or don't agree. Man, fuck all that shit. I'm flying. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air. Love y'all.